We discuss improving access to mental health for youth, plus we explore the important role of the Cumberland County Department of Human Services in strengthening our community. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Mental health services for youth, and especially for those with developmental or intellectual disabilities, are not easily available here in our community. Helping to close the gap is ASAPP Healthcare. Joining me to discuss how they're helping to make improvements for access is their CEO, Pajata Hershey. Did I say it right? Very good. Okay, I'm not going to keep trying that because it's a difficult name, but I got it through. Tell me about ASAPP and what that organization does.
ASAPP Healthcare has been an in-community service provider since 2004. I became the CEO of ASAPP Healthcare in 2007. We provide intensive in-home services, intensive in-community services, outpatient services, summer camp services, telehealth services, and recently we've just added and expanded our outpatient centers.
So let's talk about all that. That's a lot of services you do offer, but this is primarily focused on youth and youth health services, mental health services, which is difficult to get. There's obviously a need for this in our community. I just want to point out some statistics for the Latino community, and that is that 1/3 of U.S. Latinos are under the age of 18. So we have a very young population, and Latinos are more likely to have mental health issues, the youth that is, compared to their peers. So it's very important for the Latino community and youth at large to have these services.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons we added telehealth is to have available access to those services. Youth that you mentioned that are primarily young, from anywhere from 8 to 17, about 95% of youth have some access to mobile devices, and they're able to access telehealth services if that becomes the best modality of treatment for them. As far as ASAPP Healthcare, we've been hiring and continue to hire individuals to provide these services. We have about 150 individuals that work with us that speak over a dozen languages.
So you have a lot of bilingual staff as well. And what areas do you cover?
We are in all 21 New Jersey counties.
Wow. Significant. Let's talk about the breakdown of the services, right? So you mentioned the intensive in-house and as well as outpatient. Let's talk about what you mean by that.
Okay. Intensive in-home services are services that are approved and authorized by Perform Care, which is it is also the Division of Children and Families for the state of New Jersey, and they authorize services through our partners, CMO, which stands for Case Management Organization, and Mobile Response Stabilization Services. So if a youth is having a crisis, they would go the route of achieving services or receiving services through mobile response. And if there's not a crisis, then they need traditional services that are going to be home-based. So the therapist or the clinician is actually going to their home.
So most of these patients are referred to you.
Correct.
By the
Absolutely.
Department of Youth and Family Services.
Correct.
If someone is aware that they're having an issue with their child, they think it's a behavioral health issue, what should they do?
I would advise for them to seek out the best kind of care that this youth would need. And the best person to access that is the parent or guardian of that youth. The best way to have this guardian or youth or the guardian access services for the youth is by calling Perform Care at 1-877-652-7624. And you can actually access ASAPP Healthcare from that service, and we would be able to provide an evaluation, which then would determine the best modality of treatment for that youth.
Often, maybe the youth is suffering mental health issues unbeknownst to the parents. What do you say to the youth? What do you say to the parent in those instances?
So one of the privileges that the youth have, if they're over the age of 14, they can seek treatment for themselves. They have a right. There's the law written that in the state of New Jersey and elsewhere that if a youth is over the age of 14, he or she can then apply for services by themselves and do not need the consent of a parent. Of course, parental support is obviously requested, and it helps to make the process a lot smoother and easier.
Now, you do have a couple other services. Let's talk about the summer camp.
The summer camp is a grant that we received through DCF as well, and we provide services for summer camp in Atlantic, Cape May, Cumberland, and Camden counties.
One important service is really vital for the LBGT community support group. Tell me about that.
We have an LGBT support group that we offer for free in our Hamilton office as well as our Summers Point office.
And you also are in the schools. Tell me about that as well.
We're starting to do in-school counseling for youth that are having challenges in the school, and then they can best be utilized, those services in the school system because the access to the youth and to the providers available. We service right now Egg Harbor City Community Schools. We're there 1 day a week, and our clinicians, we match up the clinician with the youth that needs the service.
So are you down here in South Jersey as far as the these kind of services? You mentioned all the 21 counties. But are you here, have a presence here in South Jersey?
Our actual administrative office is in Hamilton, and our 3 outpatient offices are also in Atlantic County. So our biggest presence is in Atlantic County. It is where I live. It is where I love to provide services. I myself go out there, and I am a service provider as well.
And the teleservices are also referred, or can someone sign up or be part of that service without having to go through Department of Youth and Family Services?
So this morning I had the privilege of going to see the commissioner for the state of New Jersey, DCF, and the assistant commissioners, and for Perform Care and for DCF as well as DCP&P. And we got to talking about how we can offer telehealth to the youth that we service. They currently can receive services through their third-party insurance, and it is considered an outpatient service for now. We're trying to bridge that gap so the access to the underserved population is accessible.
Okay. A lot of information, a lot of useful information. Thank you for sharing that with our audience. And please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Cumberland County Department of Human Services is in the forefront of delivering much-needed services for our community. Joining me is Melissa Nile. She is the director of the department to tell us more about these services. Melissa, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, you have a big department in that it makes a big impact in the community. Tell me about some of the services that you do provide.
Okay, so the Department of Human Services has under it certain divisions. We have youth services, we have human services, which includes transportation. We have the Alcohol and Drug Prevention Municipal Alliances. We have the Substance Use Navigators. We have homelessness. We have mental health, and we have substance use.
So obviously you have a lot, and one of the things that I want to focus on in this segment is substance abuse. It's a big issue. In fact, in New Jersey, according to some of the data, the rate of heroin overdose in New Jersey is 3 times greater than the national average. And there's been a 700% rise in the last decade of admissions for drug treatment programs. So it's a big problem. Tell me what the county is doing to address this issue.
Okay, so we have a program called Cumberland Cares. It's a 24-hour hotline recovery coach program. So anybody who lives in Cumberland County who is in need of someone to talk to or substance abuse treatment, family members they can call, and a recovery coach will answer the phone and come alongside of them to help walk them through the process, whatever their needs are. And it also includes follow-up, because a lot of times, unfortunately, if somebody is ready or in need of going into a place like a detoxification, they call it withdrawal management now, very rarely is a bed readily available unless you have private insurance or self-pay. So people have to call back every day. So in the meantime, we have this, the recovery coaches help them navigate and get into the treatment that they need.
So is this the same as the Navigator program?
No, Substance Use Navigator. So we serve everybody in our community, regardless of the ability to pay, ages 12 and up, providing services in English and Spanish. The Substance Use Navigator is a position that's funded through the Department of Children and Families, and their role is more of a professional liaison between agencies to help agencies and schools and the community at large understand and how to access services. Because there's a lot of services out there, but a lot of people don't know that they're out there and they don't know how to access them. So the role of the Substance Use Navigator is to get out there and educate and connect.
Now, how do people know about these services?
Well, a lot of people, so we also have the First Step Clinic, which has been in operation since 1975. It's our outpatient clinic. And most of our clients are what we call forced volunteers. They have a little nudge from the judge, maybe, you know. Okay. They're sent by the court. But some come in on their own, but most people, because the nature of the illness, you know, when you get to the more severe end, most people don't stop on their own. They need some type of coercion. So, but people find out mostly through the courts, but we also have website. We're out in the community. We're always providing either educational workshops, or we're participating in boards and committees in the community. We're always advertising. We're on social media. We're very working very hard to get the word out that we're there to help people. And in Cumberland County, we're the poorest county out of 21 counties. However, we are very good at networking and doing a lot with a little. We live well on a shoestring. So.
Certainly, you do a lot with the staff that you do have. You have a smaller staff compared to some of the other counties. But I want to talk about the Municipal Alliance, and that's an important piece that every county has. But it's important in bringing awareness.
Right. So the municipal alliances are funded through what's called the Governor's Council for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. And the purpose of the alliance is to provide grassroots drug and alcohol prevention programs at the municipal level in every community. And the funding for those programs comes from what you call booze tax. So a certain percentage, let's say for every alcoholic beverage that somebody purchases, a certain percentage of that tax is set aside for the Municipal Alliance, and it's called AEREF. The government loves acronyms, by the way. So, and so that tax goes up to Trenton and comes back down to the counties by formula based on population and income. So that's where the funding comes from for the programs. And the programs that are run in the community are based on community needs assessment. So it involves not just the stakeholders and the professionals, but it also involves the community members who live there, parents, grandparents, friends.
Now, is there opportunities for people to volunteer with some of the services, such as the Municipal Alliance?
Yes. There's always opportunities for volunteering with our Municipal Alliance, our treatment facility, and we are also working on opening a recovery center, which is community-based and free, and it will be opened in September, the beginning parts of September, and it is volunteer-based and peer-driven. That's the primary focus of that. So, yes.
You mentioned that you treat anyone regardless of ability to pay, but you also take health insurance as well?
No, we only take Medicaid, but we have other funding, such as it's called fee for service. There's lots of different other funding initiatives that people are often eligible for, and we also have what's called Chapter 51 funding, county funding, which is for the people who do not have the ability to pay. They pay anywhere from $0, and the most we charge is $30 a session, which is the cheapest game in town. Great treatment, it's not that costly, because we, like I said, our community, a lot of them don't have money like that, so.
You do have a large Latino community in the
Yes.
Vineland area, in the Bridgeton area, certainly. And you did mention that these services, you do have translators and also providers that do speak
Yes,
Spanish.
we have 3 Spanish-speaking counselors in the clinic, and we have 2 very large Latino Spanish-speaking groups, and we also have a family support group in Spanish.
We want to talk a little more about the other services. We want to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. Joining me again is Melissa Niles, the Director of the Cumberland County Department of Human Services, to continue our discussion on the many services they do offer. And while we were chatting here before the start of the segment, we were talking about partnerships, and certainly partnerships is to be a very big deal, and you seem to be a master in forming partnerships. Tell me about that.
Well, as I was stating earlier, partnerships and networking has always been a tradition in Cumberland County, and so because we can't provide the services alone, and so it makes sense to partner. So we have fantastic relationships with other agencies and providers, and even throughout the county departments. We partner with the prosecutor's office, we partner with the sheriff's department. We're working on a project with them. And then we're out in the communities, in the schools, anywhere that people really ask us to go to provide presentations, mental health first aid. We have a program called Hidden in Plain Sight. That's a traveling mock teenage bedroom set that we have, that we bring to wherever they ask us to go, and we set up the bedroom, and then we let the parents, it's for adults only, because we don't want to give kids ideas on what to do. So we let them go through the bedroom and try and identify as many high-risk behaviors or things that might indicate high-risk behavior in youth. That's a very popular program.
So this is part of the youth component. You also have a youth component. What other services do you do with the youth?
So through the youth services, again, many of our services we provide are for adjudicated youth. So these are youth who either have the first time interaction with law enforcement, or they might have something called a station house adjustment, which is popular now, and that's as an alternative to arresting a youth. If a youth gets in trouble, the police will take them down to the station and make a phone call for a referral for services as opposed to arrest. And we also receive referrals just from the community. If there's a parent or the schools having an issue with a youth, they call us. And so the services we provide, the direct services we provide are the substance use services, but the other services that we fund and we contract out, we fund in-home counseling, mentorship program.
So this is all falls under the mental health program as well?
This is for the youth.
For the youth, okay.
But you'll see it's all tied together under human services because, human beings were complicated.
So you do have a mental health focus as well.
Right. So I'm also the mental health administrator. Every county has one. But again, Cumberland County does not have any funding to provide or to contract to provide mental health services. But what we do is we oversee through the Mental Health and Addictions Board, we oversee the providers, and we meet every month. with them. It's an open public meeting. We meet on the first Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. at the Fitness Connection in Vineland. The public is welcome to come. Part of the design of the board and the intention is to have community voice. And we also encourage mental health consumers and people with substance use disorders and their family members to come and be part of these partnerships because we can't do it alone.
You're also involved in homelessness prevention as well. Tell me about that.
So again, we are the Division of Homelessness. We provide funds to support the Cumberland County Family Shelter. We also provide what they call hotel motel for those who have urgent need and they fit the HUD, which is another acronym, HUD's criteria of homelessness, but they can't go to the shelter. We'll try and get them in what they call hotel motel, so it pays for a hotel motel. And then we also have emergency funding for if somebody's in danger of getting their electric bill cut off or they're behind on their rent or their mortgage, they can call our office and they'll be screened and they'll have to provide certain documentation, and we will do our best to help them pay whatever is owed so that it'll get paid in time so it won't get shut off or they won't get evicted.
And in addition to that, you're also participating in the awareness for suicide prevention as well.
Yes, so we just had a public education program called QPR, which stands for Question, Persuade, Refer. It is an hour and a half, very simple, basic training on how to have the discussion with someone if you think they're going to, if they're thinking about killing themselves. And that's part of the training is like ask the question directly. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Don't dance around it. And it's very effective. It's for the community. It's, and it's very effective. We also every year participate in the Out of the Darkness suicide prevention walks.
Yeah. You do definitely have your hands full, and unfortunately that's all the time we have, but thank you for sharing this information, and thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.